David, do you know why I'm clapping?
No.
Well, one is to sync up audio and visual.
Makes sense.
Two, because if we got an email, that means you had to eat a sticker. And we have several emails, and we're not even going to get to them all.
Yeah.
But regardless, we got an email.
Yeah.
And you promised in the last episode that you would eat a sticker.
That was meant to be a joke.
Well,
just so everyone knows.
I'm telling you right now, 3 of these are, the subject lines are, I just want David to eat the sticker.
Okay, but here's the thing. For future reference, our listeners need to not be so literal.
You're telling the internet not to be literal.
Yes. In the world of memes, no, there's no reason why, besides just me being an honorable person, there's no reason why any listener should assume that I was really going to eat a sticker.
I can't wait to see what this does to your digestive system.
But just this one time, I'm going to honor it.
Just this one time, we're going to be literal.
Okay.
Bottoms up.
Here goes nothing. Dink.
Oh my God, you did it. Oh.
Why does it taste like a Nestle Crunch bar? It's not bad.
Oh. Well, give me one.
Here you go. It's not bad.
It's not bad.
Not bad. Chocolatey. Nutty.
Surprisingly crunchy.
Quite nutty.
Surprisingly crunchy.
Hey, if anybody wants a Podzilla sticker, make sure to send us an email.
I'm going to take another bite.
They're pretty nutty. Welcome back to Podzilla. It's a digital discourse in pop culture. We're so glad you're here. And like we said in the intro, we got some emails, and we're going to dive into said emails. Specifically, 2 of them who simultaneously are our winners of the poster and the stickers that we're going to mail to them.
That are not Crunch Bar flavored. So
yeah.
Don't eat them. Not edible.
I mean, anything's edible if you try hard enough. If you believe in yourself, anything's edible. Eatable.
Very true. Very true.
So, with that being said, we are going to answer some of your emails, starting with Ethan Zink.
Ethan Zink, everybody. Ethan Zink. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up.
Yeah. All right. Quiet down, everyone. Quiet down. Quiet. Thank you.
Command.
Let's do this.
That was just to sync up audio and visual.
Yeah. Ethan asked us a couple questions. He's very abrupt. The subject line was topic ideas.
Hey.
And then there wasn't any. There was no civility. He didn't say, "How are you?"
No.
Here are my questions. He cut right to the chase.
I respect it in a way, but also like, how are you would have been nice.
Yeah. Hey, guys. He sent just topic questions, and then in a separate email, he sent just his address. Like, give me my poster. Give me my stickers.
And little emojis that are like the crying face and the little...
It's like this.
Which brings the humanity back into the emails. To me.
Yeah.
That's why you want it.
Yep.
That's why you want it.
With that being said, Ethan wants to know, what are our favorite A24 studio movies? So for those of you that don't know, A24 is a indie film studio that has, over the last, I'd say 5 years or so, really kind of lifted up into prominence from being producing really just at first like Sundance style, not Sundance style, but Sundance indie films for festivals.
Yeah, I mean...
Carnivals. For film carnivals. So, but in the last couple years, really, maybe in the last 8 years, close to 10 now.
Yeah.
Not 5. A24 has really risen to prominence, and they're starting to release films that culturally are beginning to be on par with major Hollywood studio films like Fox or, you know,
Disney, and then the other one Disney,
yeah,
and then the
Disney,
other one
and
is
then Fox
Disney.
owned Disney,
And then the other one
And
is
then
probably just
rest in-
Disney.
Time Warner,
Yeah, just
Warner
Disney.
Brothers,
Just say Disney.
Disney. So with that being said, A24 releases a lot of indie movies, but they're also popular indie movies. They're not like indie, like underground indie movies, but they're not quite mainstream media, Hollywood films that you're going to see. Or if they are in theaters, they're very limited releases and stuff like that. So,
yeah, like for an example, I really wanted to see Uncut Gems.
Right.
And Uncut Gems for the longest time was only shown in Nashville, which is the closest like
it was shown
city.
in major cities, but the closest city to us was Nashville.
And maybe one day that'll change. But yeah, so it's limited release. Mainly in big cities.
Limited theatrical release, but it was released prior to that at, was it Sundance or some sort of film festival?
Yeah, film festival. And then they basically bid on it, and like production houses bid on it at Sundance. And
so A24 basically produces indie movies. They show them at Sundance based on response, based on what people think of the movies. Then there normally is a bid from streaming sites like Amazon Prime, Netflix, Hulu, even Disney, I'm sure, where they come in and say, we want to purchase the rights to distribute this movie. And there are also major motion picture companies that will buy an A24 film and do a full theatrical release. But
so now you know the whole life story of A24.
Well, now you know what, when we say A24 movies, we're just talking about a
production house
for indie films.
So don't say you didn't learn anything. So.
But they produced movies that we've talked about and loved. Many movies that we love have been A24 movies in the last, in modern cinema.
So whenever I read this question, and then right before the show when we were reading through all the emails touching on the ones that we wanted to talk about with the best questions, we were like, A24 has done like 20 to 30 movies.
They've done a lot of movies.
They've done a ton of movies.
Yeah.
So I just Googled A24 movies, and then if you click more movies, it breaks it down into genres.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
And there's not really a movie in a particular genre that I'm like, that's an A24 movie? Like, they do a lot of movies.
They do a lot of indie movies that have become mainstream popular movies.
Yeah.
For sure.
The most recent ones, I would say, like to familiarize yourself with A24 movies, like Midsummer, Uncut Gems,
The Lighthouse,
mid-90s, Lady Bird, like that won Academy Awards.
Was a couple years ago.
Yeah, but it won Academy Awards, so that's fairly mainstream.
Yeah. And it kind of put Greta Gerwig on the map, and led her down her path that now she's doing.
Yeah. So now that we've Googled A24 movies and we've seen all the ones,
we have a list. Yeah, because
we see all the ones that we've seen. Yeah. This is not exactly the easiest question to open the show.
No, and there's no such. I don't think for either of us there's such thing as a favorite A24 movie, like a top number one movie. However, I was telling you, I do have like maybe a top 5 that I would recommend that I personally are like my top 5 favorites.
Yeah. Well, see,
and I'm sure we'll agree on
how
most. Many do you think of your top 5 and my top 5? At least 2.
I think 3. I was going to say no 3. More than 3, no less than 3.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Hang on. So I didn't see the click to view more movies button
on the bottom.
I didn't see that until we hit record on the show. So now I'm looking through all of them. And
now your opinion is changing.
Now there's so many. There are so many.
There's a lot, yeah.
Okay, so number 5. Let's just start with number 5.
I have mine are in no particular order, personally.
Okay. Well, let's just list 5 movies. So say like your number 5 movie, and I'm going to tell you if it's in my top 5.
Mine, I don't have like an order to them though.
Right. Okay. I mean, that's
say
fine.
One of them.
Just say one of them, and I'll be like, that's the top 5 best movies from this production house.
Mid-90s.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. That's in my top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
Mid-90s and why? Let's explain why too.
Yeah, sure.
So let's kind of elaborate on why. For me, mid-90s is in my top just because it literally kind of. Not all of it, but it's a coming of age story. But it kind of felt like when I was that age, and I was like, mid-90s is about a kid who starts skateboarding and like makes these older friends that he thinks are really cool. And it kind of felt a little bit like how I felt at that age. Like Jonah Hill directed it and wrote it.
Yeah.
And he really captured the essence of like a young 12-year-old adolescent kid wanting to be like one of the cool older kids, and them kind of bringing him under their wing and maybe not being the best influences on him. But they're all kids at the end of the day.
Right.
You know? But he kind of views them as these like older figures, even though they're just as...
It's like seeing a sophomore in high school when you're in middle school, and then looking back on them whenever we're this age, like mid-20s, and like, man, they're babies. But when you're in middle school and you see a sophomore, you're like, oh my God, they're a sophomore.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it was beautifully made by way of, it was filmed on all 90s movie equipment.
Yeah.
The aspect ratio is 4:3, I think.
Yeah. It's like a square.
So
almost.
It's like a square. Like, remember in the 90s, most movies you watched on a square TV, not a widescreen TV.
Yeah. Full screen, baby.
Yeah. So it's filmed in the format of a 90s movie. And if you didn't know that it was made in 2016?
Yeah, something
maybe
like 2017, maybe.
If you didn't know, you would think that it came out in the mid-90s, which is pretty funny. And there's a lot of people that I've seen who have said, you know, they thought that mid-90s was a movie from the 90s that they just hadn't seen. So
I agree with you in most of the ways, except I wasn't that cool skater kid. And that's why you're wearing a Thrasher t-shirt. Yeah. And I'm wearing just an Indiana Jones t-shirt.
I'd wear it.
Yeah. But I was not like a skater kid in middle school like these kids were.
But you can kind of relate to the feeling of the kid.
Yeah.
It was just an added bonus,
which
that
is
like
what
the
I was
skateboarding part of it, and like the
just
scene
related
where
to you.
Yeah, the scene where he's like trying to learn how to ollie in his driveway, and he finally lands an ollie, and he just freaks out.
He
and, like,
celebrates, but
like,
it's by himself.
That. I remember I've had that feeling. You know,
that's cool. Well, I haven't, but what I was gonna say was like, I was not a skater kid in high school,
right,
or in middle school like this kid was, but you can still relate to it if you weren't like the skater kid.
Yeah,
like the
you can relate to the
kid.
adolescent wanting to be part of the older cool kids thing.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. All right. So I'll say my next one. I'm gonna have to say it's Locke with Tom Hardy. Have you ever seen it?
That's an older one, isn't it?
It's like 2014, 2013.
Well, not older, but older for...
Well, yeah. I mean, 2013 was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not quite positive when it came out.
2013, Locke.
Was it 2013?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like 90 minutes of just Tom Hardy in a car.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes phone calls, and that's the movie.
Why is that in your top 5?
That's from... We fade in from black, we fade to black. It's Tom Hardy in a car just talking on the phone. And when one phone conversation ends, he calls another person. Basically, it's like the summary of the story, I guess, is Tom Hardy, Locke is his name. This is his last name. I can't remember his first name. But he is on his way to be at the birth of his mistress's child. And he's calling construction workers. I think he's like a contractor, and he's managing like a bunch of different construction sites. And I've only seen this movie twice, and both of which were like 2013 when it was released, and then maybe 2015. He's driving to like the birth of his bastard child, right? He cheated on his wife with like another woman, and she's having a baby, and nobody knew about it. And now he's having the baby, and he's decided to be there for the child. So he's calling his work and getting them to cover him at like the biggest project of his career. But he's also calling like his wife and his kids from his kids who are his wife's children as well. He's calling them and explaining the situation, and his wife and his kids don't know he had a mistress, let alone a mistress who's having a child right now. And that's why he's not at home right now. So he's coming clean about his affair and his child that came from the affair, while also trying to pass off his duties at the biggest job of his career, and he's going to miss it.
Yeah.
So it's like 90 minutes of Tom Hardy just like bearing his heart to his work and bearing his heart towards his family. It's quite a watch, and like the anxiety just like creeps up, and it's literally just Tom Hardy in a car. It never leaves the car ever. Like the camera never leaves the car. It never leaves Tom Hardy.
Yeah,
and it's like a knockout performance, and the story is just insane. And honestly, it's got a couple plot twists throughout. Not like crazy plot twists, but it's just a dude in a car on the phone, and I watched it for 90 minutes, and I watched it twice, and I want to watch it again.
It's a good sign.
It's a fun one. It really is. If you haven't seen it, I would definitely suggest it. It's pretty underrated.
Very cool.
So give me another one.
I gotta go with Swiss Army Man.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bro, I can't watch that movie again.
Why?
It's gross. A lot of it is like, it's in a way, it's kind of like body horror almost.
I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But the story itself and especially, so for those of you that don't know, Swiss Army Man is about a guy who is basically marooned on an island by himself. And he doesn't, he has no more will to live. Yeah. And right when he feels, right when he tries to basically rid himself of being on this island, for lack of better, a cadaver, a dead body washes up on the shore. Yeah. And basically he learns that this body can like do anything. It's a dead body, but he can like shoot harpoons out of its mouth and use it as... And it's the reason I love this movie specifically and why it's on my list. I understand what you're saying about it being body horror, but I didn't.
It's body horror in a different sort of way. Like if you hear the term body horror,
it's gross out humor more than body horror.
Body horror, you think of Saw and things to that effect, like people chopping their own arms off because it's gory and fun. This movie just like kind of disgusted me, but also like it's a good movie and I enjoyed it.
It's a great movie.
It really is.
And it's got I hear what you're saying and I understand why that would be a turnoff for you, but the writing of it, the heart of it, Daniel Radcliffe as the body, his acting in it, and then Paul Dano's acting in it, and the way that one of them is playing a dead body, but the way that they have chemistry, with that being said. Yeah. Which is pretty amazing. Like when someone's just slumped over.
Yeah. And
just talking like this.
Yeah. Like there's like a weird chemistry that happens. And it's really good. Not to mention, it has one of, in my opinion, the best movie scores. Andy Hull produced it, and he's the lead singer of Manchester Orchestra. And so there's a lot of just like...
I didn't know that.
Beautiful harmony, almost just voices, but it's very well done. So a huge part of the reason that I love this movie is because of the score that they made for it and just how beautifully it's made. And like I said, this is my top 5 based on a number of reasons, not just the movie in this case, but also the music and the way that the music was made. And I'm pretty sure there's a YouTube video kind of documenting them making the music for it. That's worth watching if it's still available on YouTube.
That's cool.
But that definitely gets an honorable mention from me, is Swiss Army Man for sure.
Totally. I guess my honorable mention would be The Lighthouse, because I really enjoyed The Lighthouse, and I'm very selective of who I show it to, because I watch it,
The Lighthouse is best watched alone.
It is best watched alone.
And best enjoyed alone.
I'm very very selective of who I tell that I really enjoyed the movie, because it is so different and it is so artsy, like so unbelievably artsy, but it's good and it's effective, because at the end of the day, it's a horror movie. it's a psychological movie, but it's like super psychological.
Yeah.
It's like psychological horror.
Yeah, on what would definitely be considered a weird spectrum.
Absolutely. It's weird.
Yeah.
So like I would show this to, I showed this to my friend Brandon and he really enjoyed it, but I would never show this to my wife because I know she would hate it.
Right.
I would never show this to my mom. Don't watch it.
Because she'd hate it.
Because she would hate it. So like that just gets an honorable mention because it's good. It's well made. It's very artsy.
Yeah.
Which is an A24 movie.
Totally. Obviously, in my top 5 is going to be Good Time.
Good Time makes it in both of ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hands down. Like, Good Time's in my top favorite movies.
Yeah.
In general.
I'd have to agree.
Yeah. And I mean, we've literally...
We've talked about this quite a few
We don't have
times.
to talk about this in this episode. because
I
am so outspoken on how much I enjoy this movie that it's just... Like, what more is there to say at this point?
If you're new here, just go watch. If you open up our YouTube channel and you click on an episode, it's probably a 50% chance we talk about it in the episode.
Yeah. It's probably in at least... We've probably talked about it. We've done almost 40 episodes. We've probably talked about it in at least 10.
I mean, I'd say,
About 25% of our videos, including this one, we will have talked about Good Time and how good it is.
That doesn't seem like a lot, but if you take the fact that this is a movie podcast and we talk about different movies and different topics every week, and somehow Good Times is at least mentioned in it, at least 10 of the episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, Good Time is on both of our lists. It's an excellent portrayal from Robert Pattinson. It's an excellent directorial, not debut, but debut to wider audiences of the Safdie brothers.
Yeah.
It's worth watching. It's just a great kind of thriller drama.
Bro, the first time I watched it, I did not know that the brother, like the mentally challenged brother in the movie, was one of the Safdie brothers.
And he wrote it and directed it.
I straight up thought that he was mentally challenged.
Yeah. He's a great actor.
It's incredible.
He is a great actor.
Yeah. Just check it out.
So definitely check out Good Time. It's really good. I don't know,
it's a good time.
And that's all we have to say about it. Especially if you're one of those dumb people who only viewed Robert Pattinson as Edward Cullen. For years.
Just go watch that movie.
How small? I'm not saying you have a small brain. I'm saying you're very. You need to
narrow-minded.
You need to get out of your narrow-mindedness because Robert Pattinson is a great actor, and this movie is proof of it.
If you're scared of Robert Pattinson being Batman, just watch that movie. If you watch Good Time and get back to us.
Yep.
If you disagree with us, we still don't care.
Yeah, I still don't care because he's a great actor. So we don't have to deep dive on Good Time. We've already talked about it.
Totally.
So, what else would you say?
I would say I've only got 2 more, and I'll list them off. Green Room is easily one of my top favorites.
Yeah.
It's got Anton Yelchin in it, who's gone way too soon. Yeah. It's one of his best movies, and I don't think a lot of people have seen it.
Yeah.
You should definitely watch this movie if you're a fan of... It's a very suspenseful movie. It's pretty horrific, so Mom, don't watch it. It's got a lot of body horror to it, but it is such a fun movie. Yeah. And Patrick Stewart plays the main villain in the movie, and he's like the head of like modern day white supremacists, like modern day neo-Nazis, Yeah. It is so fun and so good and suspenseful, and every time I rewatch it, it's like I'm watching it for the first time. Yeah. And it's got a lot to do with Anton. It's got Maybe in it from Arrested Development, and it's got Anton Yelchin, and they all just turn in just
killer performances, and you can tell that they're just there to have fun and make a good movie. Yep, totally. And that makes it for me. And my very last one, and easily my number one, is Ex Machina. Okay. Ex Machina, man. Even Sydney likes that movie. It is a good movie.
It's so good. I love Ex Machina.
Yeah, it's not what you go. You elaborate since it's on your list because it's not on mine. So I'll let you kind of explain why it's on your list.
Ex Machina. If you haven't seen it, it's about a sexy robot, and she's like AI, and a man hires another man to come and do the Turing test to it, which is like, talk to this AI, interact with this AI, and if you can't tell it's an AI, then it passes the Turing test. That's, in a nutshell, that's what it is.
That's a good,
And so...
Without giving anything away.
Yeah.
Which is good.
He goes to like a house in the middle of the woods, but it's like a fancy house. It's a fancy boy house.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to it. He talks to this AI, and events progress.
Yeah.
And it's just delicious sci-fi, man. It's just good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we went after church. Sydney and I were still dating, and it was like a 10 o'clock showing. It was like the premiere because A24 movies don't get released worldwide at the beginning.
Yeah.
And so it came out on a Wednesday night at like 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were still dating, but I was like, Sydney, I want to go see this movie really bad. It's got a sexy robot in it. Can we go? And she's like, I love sexy robots. So we go see it, and she loved it, and I loved it.
It's
and
great.
It's just like, it was really early stages of dating. So it was like, oh, he really likes movies, and this movie was really good, and I wouldn't have normally gone to see this movie. So it kind of has a sentimental value with it as well, to me personally.
Yeah.
But also, it's just really good.
Yeah.
Totally. That's why I like it.
What was the first movie that you and Sydney saw in a movie theater together?
It was our first date, and it's The Fault in Our Stars.
Oh, bummer.
It was really bad.
Bummer. Moving on.
Yeah, just move on.
Tell people it was Ex Machina. What's funny is that so I didn't see Ex Machina in theaters, but I remember being at Bridge Street, which is, there's a movie theater there.
It's a mall. It's like an outlet
It's like
mall.
an outlet mall, and there's a movie theater there. And I was like walking around, and I saw someone who we know, and they had just seen Ex Machina. It was two guys that we know, and they had just seen it, and they're like, that was the worst movie I've ever seen.
Really?
Don't watch that
Bro,
movie.
I love that movie so much.
And so that for me, because I don't want to put them on blast, bleep out their names.
Okay.
And they were both like, this is the most terrible movie. Don't see this movie. It's crap. It's a load of crap.
Yeah.
And so that kept me from watching it for a long time because I trusted their opinions. And then when I did see it, I was like, surely this isn't the same movie.
Yeah.
But sure enough, it was.
Well, we just have to disagree on movies because I went to a movie by myself when I lived in my apartment. I went to see Life with Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Which was just okay. But then they came out of the movie and they were like, man, that was amazing.
Those same two?
Yeah.
They don't listen to our show anyway. So great.
But yeah, so that's why
everybody's got an opinion, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm gonna say another one that was in my top 5 was The Disaster Artist. Man, it's just a good.
That's top tier Franco.
That's top tier Franco and top tier Franco.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely top tier Franco bros. Franco bro.
It's awesome. It's so the Disaster Artist is a biopic based on the movie The Room, which is notorious for being the worst movie of all time.
The best worst movie.
The best. Correct. The best worst movie of all time. And it was basically produced on a very expensive budget that no one knows where the money came from.
Yeah.
It was written, directed, and starring
Tommy Wiseau.
Tommy Wiseau, who nobody knows where he's from. Nobody knows where he got his money to back this movie. And to this day, he's an enigma.
He is.
And
absolutely.
The Room is the best worst movie of all time. It's a terrible movie, but it has a cult following because of how bad it is. Similar to what's the movie? Birdemic or something like that.
Oh yeah.
But even like the most famous bad movie of all time.
Yeah.
This is a biopic about that movie being made, starring James Franco and Dave Franco.
And Seth Rogen, he makes a little appearance in there.
He makes an appearance, yeah.
Yeah.
Directed by James Franco. Based on a book by the
Mark.
Actor, the
guy who plays
Mark.
Mark in The Room.
It's a great movie. It's funny,
really good.
But it's not a comedy. It's a biopic.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's just a good watch. It's kind of heartwarming.
Yeah,
it's a good story. Yeah. And then if you have seen The Room and hate The Room, or if you've seen The Room and love it for all the wrong reasons,
it's a great equalizer.
You're gonna love this movie. Yeah. And if you haven't seen The Room, you'll still just be blown away by the story.
Yeah,
and the performances.
it's wild.
You're gonna laugh. You're gonna feel something.
Yeah, it's really
just
interesting.
Good.
It's really interesting. So that movie makes it for me. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't have a top 5, but I wanted to pick movies that weren't just dramas or weren't just I kind of wanted to pick 5 that kind of covered all of the grounds.
Yeah.
I mean, Hereditary's great.
Spooky.
Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems is so good, man.
So good.
So good.
So good.
The only other
honorable mentions.
The only
Lady
other,
Bird.
Yeah, Lady Bird is great.
Yep.
And then, okay, I would like to set the record straight. I don't know about you, but I get DMs quite a few times in the week. No, okay, that's stupid. I've gotten DMs quite a few times, like several of them, probably 5 or 6, of people sending me pictures of their TV watching Midsummer.
Why?
Because early on in the show, I said that I had watched Midsummer and it's the most disturbing movie I've ever seen and something like that. Now people send me pictures of them watching Midsummer. Let me set the record straight. I did not love Midsummer.
No.
Midsummer is super disturbing and super unique, and it is very beautifully shot.
Yeah.
I've wanted to set the record straight for a long time because several people have messaged me about watching it, and then they didn't like it or saying that super jacked up.
And it's all your fault.
Yeah, I never recommended this movie.
No, I wouldn't to anyone.
I think it's very well made.
There are very specific people who I know who I would recommend this movie to.
Yeah.
But 96% of the people I know, I would never tell them to watch that movie.
Ever.
And my personal opinion on it, the first 20 minutes of Midsummer, 10.
Yeah, it's so
and then
good at the beginning.
Goes downhill from there.
It freaks me out, man.
It gets worse. I think that it kind of takes a weird turn.
God. I'm thinking about Midsummer.
Midsummer doesn't get an honorable mention for me. It's not a terrible movie.
It's not at all. Not at all.
No.
I just wanted to set the record straight. You know what you like. If you want to see the most messed up movie you've ever seen in your life, watch Midsummer. It's well made. It's beautiful. Performances are incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It's not amazing. It's not great. It's disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say your piece. I'm not telling you to watch it.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. It depends on, like you said, it depends on who it is. It's excellent cinematography. Excellent in what's the word I'm looking for? Hold on. It's excellent in approach of what they tried to do, which was make a scary movie in broad daylight. Nailed it. Excellent as far as, Florence Pugh's performance. And all the performances.
I was about to say
matter.
all the performances are incredible.
But it's too disturbing to recommend to a lot of people.
So disturbing. And
especially knowing that the people that probably most of the people that listen to our podcast are here because they love Star Wars or Marvel movies.
Yeah.
This isn't
for
that.
you, buddy.
It might be for you, but I'm saying this isn't that.
No. I can safely say if your favorite movie is Avengers Endgame, don't watch this movie. If your favorite movie is The Empire Strikes Back, don't watch this movie.
This probably isn't going to be something you're going to like. And we don't have to talk about it. Honorable mention for me, Lady Bird.
Totally.
Beautiful coming of age story.
Absolutely.
Excellent acting. That's all I'm going to say about it. The Florida Project. Awesome because it was filmed guerrilla style at Disney World. Super cool.
So good.
So that's honorable mention for me. The Room. That's another honorable mention for me because it's got our favorite little boy in it.
1, 2, 3. Jacob Tremblay.
I was just saying Tremblay. Jacob Tremblay.
Absolutely. Hollywood's favorite.
In
Good
his
Hollywood.
breakout performance. Young Jacob Tremblay.
Jacob Tremblay. Hold on. Everybody give it up for Jacob Tremblay!
Jacob Tremblay, everyone.
Jacob Tremblay.
Okay. Stop. No, stop.
I said cut it out.
Stop. Okay, my computer started freaking out. The Room is great. Brie Larson's performance is beautiful in that
That's
as well.
a movie for anybody.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just going through now just to make sure that we didn't miss any any good movies on the way out of talking about this, because we've been talking about this for
a long time,
for longer than we suspected, which is a good thing. Did you have any more just honorable mentions that you wanted to throw down before we move on?
Just like to drop a title. A Most Violent Year gets slept on a lot. It's Oscar Isaac and Jessica Chastain.
Yeah.
Just 2 knockout performances. It's about like mafia ties and legitimate businesses and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. It's a slow burn drama, but got a lot of tension.
Yeah.
I would say that one. And The Lobster. The Lobster. I enjoyed The Lobster quite a bit.
Yeah. But lobsters don't mate for life. Then those are our top. We don't have a favorite. Sorry, Ethan. We don't have a favorite A24 studio movie, but those are our favorites.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Ethan also wanted to know what our favorite stop motion movies are. We don't have to talk about this too long. Do you have a favorite stop motion movie?
I've only seen 2.
What are they?
Chicken Run and Kubo and the Two Strings. And I'm going to have to say Chicken Run because I grew up on it.
Kubo and the Two Strings is good.
It's really good.
Chicken Run's good.
But I've only seen it once.
You don't think you've never seen Fantastic Mr. Fox?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I have. Yeah, it's super good.
That's
I've seen Isle of Dogs. And
Isle of Dogs is up there.
Isle of Dogs is good. But Fantastic Mr. Fox is obviously the best one. I don't know why I didn't think
Fantastic
about
Mr. Fox is up there for me. Paranorman.
Yeah.
I liked Paranorman a lot. It's on Netflix. You should watch it.
I will.
It's really good. It's really funny. It's like it's a kid's movie, but it's really fun. It's really funny.
I'll have to give it a watch.
I'd say Paranorman. I mean, Nightmare Before Christmas and, Tim Burton movies and Frankenweenie. And those are all great movies, but those are classics, I really like stop motion and I like the artistry of it a lot.
Yeah.
Paranorman's maybe I'm saying that because that's the last one I watched, but in my mind, I would love to have the puppet of Norman on a shelf.
That's cool.
And
I don't know what he looks like, so.
Well, when you watch the movie, I saw that the puppet of Norman sold for $25,000 at auction or something like that, between 25 and 40,000. Yeah, he's probably 8 inches tall.
Is he taller than the Gremlin?
He's probably a little taller than the Gremlin. Anyway, it doesn't matter. When I was watching Paranorman last, I was like, oh man, I would kill to have that puppet. Anyway, doesn't matter. I say Paranorman's my favorite stop motion movie, followed by Fantastic Mr. Fox. And then Nightmare Before Christmas and Tim Burton stuff kind of comes up in the rear just because they're classics and they kind of, in a way, pushed, stop motion wasn't really a medium of filmmaking for a long time after the Santa Claus and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and all those Christmas, old stop motion movies, from way back in the day, Mr. Heat Miser and all those movies. And, so stop motion wasn't a medium of filmmaking really for a couple decades. And I think it was brought back to prominence and back to mainstream with Tim Burton doing Nightmare Before Christmas and then, Corpse Bride and all that. So those definitely deserve, a mention for being a forerunner of modern stop motion filmmaking.
One thing I have to say, it's not a movie, but it's something I want to not plug, but also bring to our listeners' attention. There's a short film on YouTube called Rebooted. And it made me feel a lot of things.
It's stop motion?
It's stop motion. So Rebooted is a short film, 15 minutes long, maybe. Mm-hmm. It's about have you ever seen Clash of the Titans? The old one. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of the time in 70s and 80s sci-fi movies or fantasy movies, the villains were stop motion.
Yeah.
Rebooted is a short film about a stop motion skeleton. He's a real life person. He's a stop motion skeleton. He was famous. He was in a Clash of the Titans style movie. He was one of the villains in it who fought the hero.
Yeah.
Now that my headphones died. Now that the movies now that modern cinema has gone into CGI and everything like that, he's out of work. He's an unemployed actor, but he's a stop motion skeleton. And it's basically his struggle to find his identity, and there's not a single word in the movie in the short film.
Yeah,
and so he's going across film and everything like that, trying to find his purpose and also find a career.
Cool. That sounds
It's
awesome.
only like 15 minutes, but it's a mix between like real people, like you and I, and then there's like a little stop motion skeleton riding the subway. Like it's really good.
That's super cool.
Stop motion and it's a short film, and you should definitely watch it.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah, but that's the answer to that question. Just a little nugget on top.
Yeah, just another little thing. Ethan, the final thing that Ethan sent was the best films made on a next to nothing budget. The first thing that came to my mind was Good Time.
Yeah.
Because it was all guerrilla filmmaking, which ties into our A24 studio movies. I would have to really do some digging on that, and maybe we can elaborate on like a whole episode on that.
We've had quite a few emails come in, and we've spent 30 minutes on Ethan. So we're gonna have to come back to it.
Yeah, for sure.
But
we will.
Moment, yeah, absolutely. But at the moment, I just say Good Time because that's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, and Cold Feet. That was on a next to nothing budget.
Oh God!
Shout out to all the people that know what Cold Feet is. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Stay tuned for Cold Feet.
Stay tuned for Cold Feet. Jeez.
My God.
And our next person who emailed us next. Hold on, let me get the.
Who also wins the poster and the only other poster.
The only other
stickers.
Available current poster of the first run of posters. Do you want to say who it is, and I'll play the.
It is Amber Marie.
All right. Amber Marie, thank you for so much.
Thank you
Thank you for sending us an email, Amber.
And she started off on the very opposite end of the spectrum from Ethan.
Yes.
Ethan started out cold.
Ethan said, "Give me my poster."
Yeah, he said, "Thank you, please, and here are some questions." Amber, on the other hand,
Amber gave us a whole. I'm not going to read her whole email, but it's very sweet,
very heartfelt.
Thank you for.
We appreciate you, Amber.
Amber, you're so cool. You're the best.
You're sweet.
You're
sweetheart.
the absolute best.
Yeah.
But Amber wanted to know, in our opinion, what's a comic book that you've read that you feel should be a movie or a TV show? Do you have anything, or do you want me to just?
You're gonna have to take over.
Okay.
I can maybe bring in a book.
But that's not the question, Braden.
It's not the question.
That is not the question.
I have only ever read comic books that are already movies. Like the comic book that I stuck with the longest was The Walking Dead.
Okay.
Which the TV show has gone way too long.
Yeah.
All my desires
it should have been over 3 years ago.
All my desires and more have been fulfilled.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Amber wants to know what's a comic book movie that you've read that you feel should be a movie or TV show, and are there any comic book movies that should have been a show? And we can elaborate on that. My recommendation, and this isn't just a comic book series that I think should be a movie or show. I think it would thrive as probably more of like an Amazon Prime show with a boys budget.
Boys. Yeah. With a boy budget.
With a little bit of the boys budget and thrown in there, with just a little bit of Starlight in there. But there is a comic book series that began its run. I think I had to pull it up. It began its run in, let me just double check, 2019. So it's still it's new. It's newer, like September 2019. Like it's newer. Okay. Which is good because I think I'm fairly confident that this may be adapted in the next 5 years. And this
Hollywood's
book,
starving. It's all got to come.
Yeah, this would thrive in a Netflix.
If you've ever written an essay paper, it's getting adapted.
Yeah. So with that being said, and I would just recommend this as a solid read for anyone who loves reading comic books.
Solid read alert.
Solid read alert.
Enter graphic here.
Solid read alert. It's so smoky in here. It's in my eyes. I can't see. I'll never see again.
Can you make that graphic? Because I can't.
Yeah, we'll throw something together. So my recommendation is a book. It's got 3 volumes currently out right now. It's called The Weatherman.
Okay.
It's about it's set in the future on Mars, because there's been a huge it's called Terraformed Mars.
Okay.
And it's set in the future, and basically what happened is Earth was the victim of a very brutal terrorist attack that caused people to have to colonize to Mars and create a new lives on Mars.
Classic, like, Interstellar type of
Yes, but
scenario.
it's fun and funny, and so the Weatherman,
just like all terrorist attacks.
Well, anyway, it centers around a weatherman named Nathan Bright, who everybody loves, who's kind of like this. He's like basically a Ryan Gosling, is how I would visualize him. I
like Ryan Gosling.
He's kind of that kind of guy, like kind of sarcastic, funny, charming guy.
I'm in love.
So he's like a popular weatherman, on Mars. And what happens is he basically, I don't want to give anything away because I really want people to read it.
Mm-hmm.
But basically he is accused of being brainwashed into thinking he's Nathan Bright, because he can't remember past like 5 years ago of his own life.
Yeah.
So basically they said, we took, your blood, and we found out that you're the lead terrorist in the terrorist attack on Earth, and you're responsible for killing all these people. And he doesn't remember any of it. Okay. He thinks he's just a weatherman. So he doesn't understand why he's like
being blamed for
destroying Earth. I don't want to give it away because it's a really good book.
Yeah.
But and this is just a solid read alert. Go just buy volume 1. It's available at Barnes and Noble or Books A Million.
A solid read alert.
Oh! Not again. I'll never see my children.
We made this graphic.
I'll never see my children. Solid. That's some solid read alert.
Wow.
Anyway, so with that being said, I should have just read the description of volume 1. Because I'm literally looking at it right now. It's really good. Should I still read it?
Yeah, you go ahead and do it. We'll see how close
Nathan
you were.
Bright had it all: an awesome girlfriend, a kick-ass dog, bleep that out, and a job as the #1 weatherman on Terraform Mars. Should I start over?
Yeah, but say it and I'll bleep it out.
Okay. Nathan Bright had it all: an awesome girlfriend, a kick-ass dog, and a job as the #1 weatherman on terraformed Mars. But when he's accused of carrying out the worst terrorist attack in human history, an event that wiped out nearly the entire population of Earth, Nathan becomes the target of a manhunt that spans the galaxy. But is Nathan truly responsible for such a horrific crime? And why can't he remember? Confused, terrified, and totally unprepared for life on the run, Nathan's fate lies in the hands of Amanda Cross, the disavowed government agent assigned to his case. Together, the unlikely duo will have to rely on each other as they battle their way through the solar system in search of the truth and the key to stopping a second extinction level attack.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it'd be a great show.
That really sounds awesome.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
It's a great book.
Incredible.
Yeah. And it's worth reading, and I think it could absolutely be adapted in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Surely.
That sounds awesome.
So that's my recommendation.
Well, that's a great recommendation,
Amber.
and that's mine too, Amber.
Yeah, and Amber, if you just like reading comic books, go check out The Weatherman. It's really good.
That's awesome.
So are there any comic book movies that should have been a show in your opinion? Like just off the top of your head.
It's hard to say because all the Marvel movies are basically, it's like they're all connected.
They're all a series now.
So it's like a series, yeah. And any storyline that I want fleshed out is now going to be like a Disney Plus series.
Right.
And I don't know.
Do you think
I would say
so?
like a
Amber,
Batman series, but there's been a Gotham series, which was pretty good.
So Amber said specifically, like Scott Pilgrim, do you think if it was maybe a 4-part series, it would have been better? I don't think so.
I don't think better, but
it would have been cool to elaborate because
it would be cool. I think it would be cool if it was like an animated TV show.
Yeah, and they had that animated little bit that ran on was it Comedy Central?
I don't know.
Before the movie came out?
Really?
Yeah, it was like a 5-minute little thing.
Oh, it's only like 5 minutes?
Yeah, but it's like a short, I think it was either Adult Swim or Comedy Central.
Well, that's cool.
But it was the voice actors from the movie, but they made like a little, it's really good. It's really good. It's on YouTube. Everybody go watch it. Anyway, yes, Amber, I do and don't think so. I like Scott Pilgrim, the movie, just the way it is, personally.
Absolutely.
I don't think it needed to be any longer because it's kind of a sensory overload in all parts of the quirkiness, the visual style. It's like the right amount of it. Absolutely. I don't think, I mean, I would watch it as a series, like for 8 hours, but I think you would get lost and start forgetting things because it's so fast paced.
Yeah.
The way that, Edgar Wright directed it, the characters and the dialogue is all so fast paced, that it almost lends itself better to a movie because it has your attention for a solid hour and a half versus a show where if you look down at your phone to scroll Instagram while you're watching it at home, you're going to miss a really beautiful visual in that style.
Yeah.
I do agree though, that if it was like a cartoon animated show that was still stylistic, but was approached from an animation standpoint, it could stand on its own 2 feet.
Yeah.
And I mean, especially with a franchise like Scott Pilgrim, because there are so many books, right? And I don't even think, I'm going to fact check myself real quick, but I don't even think Scott Pilgrim versus the World is the first book. I think it's the second one.
I think it's one of the last ones. It might be called Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and that's the series.
Yeah, so the first
Scott Pilgrim versus
so it's the second one. I think. I'm looking at him now. Yeah. Yeah, so the first one's called Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Life, and then the second one is Scott Pilgrim versus the World, followed by Scott Pilgrim and the Infinite Sadness, Scott Pilgrim Gets It Together, Scott Pilgrim versus the Universe, and then Scott Pilgrim's Finest Hour. So there's 6 volumes of this story, and unfortunately, we only got to see one of them adapted into a feature film.
I think we should read the books first to determine. I feel like if there's a movie that should have been a series, you should have read the book. Right?
Yeah.
Because take like The Shining, for example. It's been a movie. Mm-hmm. It's been a TV miniseries that Stephen King has done. Mm-hmm. I don't know which is better. I haven't seen the miniseries. I've seen the movie 100 times. I've read the book. You know, which one is better? You make the call. I haven't read all the Scott Pilgrim's books.
Right.
But
and there's something to be said about the faithfulness from a film that's inspired by a work of literature or a graphic novel medium, where, like a perfect example is The Shining was made as a film. Yeah. And then Stephen King remade it as a miniseries. And arguably the miniseries that he made was more faithful to the books, but not accepted by the general public as much as the original. Yeah. That would be the same with Scott Pilgrim versus the World. If it was super faithful to the book, it might not have translated as well as the movie did because the movie just gives it to you in a different medium.
Absolutely.
So I understand what Amber's saying, like Scott Pilgrim, because she even said, do you think if it was a 4-part series, it would have been better? And then she said she knows that was blasphemous to us. I don't know. I mean, we'll never know.
So that's cool. Amber, congratulations on winning your poster and your stickers.
There might be a bite taken out of it. So those are my answers, my long-winded answers. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Podzilla. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can follow us at The Podzilla Show. If you want to email us a question and potentially win some free stickers or a free poster, make sure to email us at thepodzillashow@gmail.com. Those are our main ways that you can communicate with us, so make sure to take advantage of both of those avenues.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to follow us personally, you can follow me at Tonus Braden.
You can follow me at The David Smith Jr.
And until next time. What a bunch of madness, but what a good episode, right?